Joined 7 years ago. I guess we can trust that. Still a question mark on his rating though. Okay. When a bullet enthusiast, is he? Should have should have gone for queenside castle on g4, I guess. No white. Knight appeared. I was not playing that. I was playing bishop c2, queen d3. Not very good with the mouse. Interesting. Okay. Something there, a bit tricky. If he goes e4, then f5 hits the queen and the bishop, and I'm hitting the bishop twice. And once I take the bishop, I'll be hitting the rook. He, however, will also be hitting the piece here, so don't need to calculate right now, but I'll wait for his response and then see. If I should not have been allowed, I allowed it to a little too carelessly. And once he hits this, then we'll be hitting this. So if takes, bishop takes, pawn takes, knight, and I'll lose 3 pieces for a piece. And if I take his bishop, then I'm actually getting a pawn out of that. Also hitting his bishop again. I'm actually just recapture here then. Because if I take his rook, he takes my this knight and he takes the other knight, so don't want to do that yet. Yeah, that's definitely now better for me. Pretty good for me actually. Um, I can just take his bishop, but there's no hurry. However, he does have a kind of a potential discovered attack on the knight, but I don't see this knight doing anywhere good. He cannot go here or here because then the pawn takes and defends the knight. And these are taken, so all these here he cannot go. Only moves he has is b6 and b8, which I don't mind. So I don't need to move the knight immediately. What else? I do want to go e4 at some point. Maybe this is the point. Because then I also get e5. And then if he goes knight b6 or knight b8, then I'll just push it to e5, which would be very nice. And then if he takes, then this knight gets a very nice square on here. Or, well, if the pawn is defending the knight, then this knight can also go here. So I think e4 is good. E4 looks good. E4 looks good. However, if takes and queen takes and knight takes, there's here skewering slash spinning these two knights, And the problem is they cannot move in a way to defend each other because c3 and g3 both will be taken, and f3 would be responded with f4. Okay, so if I go b4 takes, if I take knight, same thing, okay, and yeah, actually, looks like b4 might not be good because of that reason. What about the other breaks? c4, yeah, that also looks good. That gives my knight c3 if it wants to go to, and preparing to go c5, cement that knight in d6. Okay, c4. Takes, queen takes, whatever. If knight b6, then c5, knight c4, then I'll just take it. I'll actually take his bishop and go b3. Let's see. Yeah, knight b6, then I'll be here. I'll actually, should I go b6 straight away? No, his bishop is not such a bad piece now after this e6 pawn has been moved, and the bishop is ready to come out. So I will take that. It's not end up on a5 after b3. This is back. Then right back. That's a waste of a move. But I guess that c4 avenue didn't look that way too. Good thing is he's in the center. However, now I can very much go knight f4. It's earlier I was not able to. Now knight h4, where does he go? Square is almost on a squares on the back. Only e7. Um, but g4 is the square. g4 is 3. At the very least, you can always go to. Yeah, that is certainly completely cruising here, dominating, and also profound. Probably have to sleep it calculate. And e4 right now can be played because c3, there was a pawn on c3, so there's not a pawn on c3 anymore. So that in the end, the rook e8 will not win a piece because this knight would then drop back to c3. Or the other one will drop, other one will come to c3, so this one can go back. But I need to go e4, and on one hand, you can say that it does ease black's discomfort. But on the other hand, it also simplifies and makes the conversion easier, and I'm very confident that I'll be able to convert that up to. Also, I do not want a knight to land on d5. So do I really want e4 and then this? I can create avenues of play other areas. Now, this is one thing I can do, but I don't really want to do. Because, yes, I can put a pawn on f5, but then I might need f5 for my pieces. That's a big, always a dilemma. Do you want to do those nice pawn pushes, or do you actually want to keep the pawns where they are and use the nice squares and everything for the pieces instead? If I can knight f5, there is knight takes c5. The idea of knight f5 would be if I could go knight f5, then bishop d6, then I can put my knight on e6. Here, sorry, e7. There's a check. This looks cool. Not seeing anything concrete I would do from there, but yeah, having a cemented knight in e7 is certainly a flex. But the problem is, of course, like I said, if knight f5, then this tactic and the queen and the bishop both open the attack. So if I can add a 4, do I really want to go add a 4? I might actually just want to go here, and reinforce this guy. F5 will come at some point. Is it coming right now? Right now it cannot come. If I go here, then this becomes e3, but as I always tell my students, weakness is only a weakness when it can be attacked. This also creates a big hole on e4, but I don't think he can do anything there yet. He needs one of these two squares to try to jump in on the right squares of these outposts that he's created. We don't have them yet. Another thing that f4 does is it stops knight coming in. Yeah, so that doesn't feel like it's doing much, but he's cramped now, it's really cramped. And he is maybe freeing space for his queen. That knight might be going to a6, but I don't see what it does from there. Let's it takes f5 or knight f5. No, okay, I can do anything because I have stopped knight to g6. What else can I do? Do I want to? Okay, I'll block this. No, I like the bishop here. I'll open it at some point. Maybe I do go just simply on f5 and then look here. Just kill him like that. That's one of the problems with this position this good. There are way too many things to do, and all look so good that you spend your time, you savor. Okay, knight a6, knight c7, knight b5. Is this way? I don't know. I'll just put a knight here and wait for him to see what he does. Okay, he is going there. He can go to b4, but then I'll kick him again. It's just for checking. Okay, I have like 17 seconds. Yeah, he is going b5. So now I'll stop it. Oh, that's nice. Now actually, which one should I take? I don't have a light split issue. Got enough time also. Okay, just there. Now I'm in time trouble, so I have to make just some fast moves. Gain back some time. I'm never pushing e4 now because I don't want weakness in d4. So we'll come back. Bishop b5 might be what I'll do. He'll try to go g6 to break my pawn there. Okay, that is certainly the way for him to go. Oh, I should have taken Ampersand. I should have definitely taken Ampersand to that. I enjoyed my position too much, so I got down to up. I cannot take the rook yet because pawn will take and 4. Oh, I can. I have check. I have a check. Let's check this check. Where does the rook go? I'll just put it back. I like my rooks connected like. I'll put it here. Now, why I'm liking this is because this new thing is because his pawn is now shielding my pawn from frontal attacks. So now I will actually, okay, now I'll change. I have to be a bit careful. My queen is against his rook. I should have gone here. Yeah, then his pawn is not really defensible. Yeah, that's terrible. That was bad by me. Of course, I'm still doing very well. This will come under fire if the knight moves. If there can the knight move. Cramping is what Black has suffered the whole game. The f5 pawn did free him a bit though, but you know, a bit is not enough for him. You don't have to because that's a little bit of fun. That's fine, but it's not like that. It's not kind of. The only thing you can put in is some second ideas. So let's get rid of that. kind of things. Yeah, the sword, but it does not have a sword because of this. And also question is, so queen cannot just simply unpin by moving here. He cannot push this to defend this because this pawn is pinned. The knight cannot move, the queen cannot move, nothing can move. If the queen moves here, then the knight gets pinned this way. So I like this kind of move, completely paralyzing, making the opponent resign due to disgust more than anything. Yes, he's trying for perpetual. That is not there, my dear baby, because now my queen is coming to you. I can do one check, gain some time. That's nice, because now I will go d6 takes takes. Okay, I'll just go here, because everything is defended. And now his knight will be stuck, because our pressure has 6. And now e3 is defending, there's no more checks. Yes, you can do that, but that's all you can do. Then you cannot move the knight, and now c6. Again, completely got him stuck. Nothing to do. The knight cannot move. The queen cannot move. He will be making some mindless king moves, but now I think this ends the game. Yeah, I enjoyed the game a little bit too much, but still I did not play it to utmost perfection as I would have liked. Due to time not being unlimited. Okay, so without the engine view and look at it first. Well, this is fine. You can play like this. A white can play like this and castle queenside. All like in the game castle kings on the other. Now this is nothing for white to claim much. You can claim a little. Like there are versions, a lot of versions that can go say like in this game. This is done because I guess it wasn't really necessary. Something like h3 to save the bishop so that this never comes. But this is not coming anyways because the queen is yeah. That's why no need of h3 yet. This knight c3, the second of the knight to c3 is a bit positionally clumsy. Blocks in the c2 pawn. So usually if it's not that kind of a London, Jababa London where you are going for the use of piece play, where piece play in the center. You're not going for that kind of Jababa, then it is much more comfortable to have a triangle pawn chain. So that's very nicely solidifying your center and stuff, and then your e4 breaks can be good for you. Yeah. So this is usually this would have made sense if the queen was here on c7 and he was about to put a knight on d7 or something, so that you can then reinforce this with f4. Because otherwise, then you're forced to take. Because if you allow to take, then you would be losing a pawn take, and then in the end the queen would take. But the queen is not on c7 here; it's on e7. So this was kind of not necessary. I could have straight away gone for knight e2 to go c3. Okay, when rook e1, I get knight e2. He goes back. Not a lot, not a lot making sense, by the way, in his moves either. He's just playing too fast. C3 and knight puts that knight back, which is fine. This is something I was not playing. I was playing. At first, I was thinking about moving the queen to connect the rocks, right? And I thought C2, pressuring this. But then I thought that why not put the queen at the head of it to create a bigger potential threat if the knight in f8 ever moves. So I was thinking bishop c2 and queen d3 uh, does it more in a more nicer way. And I'm off slip to queen d2, which is fine. It's a wasteful move, but tempos are not that big a deal here, especially the kind of play that went in the game. Yeah, this I was not happy with. This is a good. Usually f6 is kind of a f6 is a move. Usually you're happy to see because oh, new weakness. Stuff around the king is now weak. Look for some flushing in with the pieces, etc. But none of that is that here. So there's no good stuff to be happy about for white with the f6. On the other hand, black very smoothly, very nicely achieved the pawn break e5, which is very good for him. Very good. Luckily, I saw here that there is a tricky move. Well, tricky in the sense it at least saves the unpleasantness of the other choices. Because what do? You have to move the bishop or something. If a fork is coming, it's gonna fork the two pieces. So my choices were move this bishop, move the knight, go e4. E4 was not working. E4 is the kind of a move you do in. That's the first move I was thinking. That's the kind of move when you're faced with something unpleasant like that. You wanna lash out. You wanna fight fire with fire. So I said, okay, e4. What about e4? E4 is not working because takes. Bishop takes, and then whenever he takes this, this comes to the tempo on the bishop. On the bishop. And the problem is that if I take thinking or take thinking that if he takes here, that fails in two ways. Even if I manage to solve one of those ways, it fails in two ways. And that is, the knight on e2 would still be hanging, so I would still lose a piece. Basically, e4 was not working. So if I go e4, 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 bishop takes, and then the hands are not working today. Then whenever he takes this, he unveils an attack on the bishop. So e4 basically bottom line not working in my calculations. We'll see with the engine if it is later and if I miss something. So the move I found was knight h4 because when I saw that, okay, knight f5 is a serious threat. It's a serious threat, especially if you move this pawn because then the bishop is already looking at this bishop and knight hits the queen and the bishop, right? So he had to go something like g6 or something here. It just looked very weak. But his knight on f8, as the saying goes, knight on f8 means no mate. Is That's a very good defender of these two knight squares, and I don't have any rash ideas that would look remotely difficult to figure out for him. Okay, remotely difficult to be worth trying. So knight f5 was indeed so g6 is something he would have to play here. But why I was so happy and immediately played it without much calculation is because, and I'm pretty sure that would be the best move, is because it's one of the two pieces that needs to be moved to get out of this fork, and it moves with the tempo very nicely. So I like that about that. And then next move, we'll see next move. what he does. And he does this, which is not good. He had to go d6. So this is probably very went wrong. This is the start of very went wrong. So knight f5. Now it's a tempo. You have to move your queen. The queen moves, knight takes, pawn takes, and this is not working if I take his knight because when he takes this, if my rook was on e1 or b1 e1, the point is like if we give white a free move with rook e1, then I will save my knight with knight c7, which is a fork on the queen and the rook, right? But I don't have that time because if I take his rook, then this comes with tempo, and if I take care of that tempo, then he takes my knight. So he got two pieces for the rook. This is something I just don't want to give him because on the other version of it, I just take the free pawn, and it is still a tempo, and the remaining pieces on the board are very good for white and very bad for black. Bad in the sense they're very cramped, and I don't see a solution that is smooth at all. So now, if you try to think about a development scheme, it's very hard. That knight in d7 dead, and because of that, the knight on f8. Okay, the knight on f8 can come to g6, but that's it. G6 is as far as it can go. F4, F5 will then have to be accounted for. Yeah, so here I was thinking e4, but e4 is my mind trying to simplify, take the easy way out. Um, but it is not. Oh yeah, this is what I was talking about. That it's not working. If I take, in the end there's this, and now it's a awkward situation for the knights because c3 and g3 both are taken, so they actually cannot delete it, cannot move in a way to defend each other. They cannot move, so they're like pinned and skewered. And f3 of course doesn't work because of f5, and I lose a piece. So this was what I saw. Otherwise, I would have gone e4, which is not good. Anyways, because it's a lazy man's move. It's such a great position. There's a knight in d6 that is about to become an octopus knight. So it's a lazy man's move. c4 I liked much more. And I think now he just has to take, and which is the only downside for white of c4. There's no downside for white to c4, there's just you're freeing black a bit. You're freeing black a lot actually, right? He's still worse. That's the point of that. He's still going to be a pawn. Now he still has a worse position even. So it's still going to be bad for him. The white would still easily convert that. But it does like open up his pieces a bit enough to just breathe, not be miserable. He didn't take, he instead tried to go knight there, which is just now he is furthermore cramped. c5 grabbed more space, and now it's furthermore cramped. This does not do anything. Here I thought that I'll just take this bishop. But bishop is not that bad anymore in the future. If suppose the play went long and stuff, he started to develop, he started to catch up in development, then once the queen moves, that bishop could have come out and could have been something. Not that big of a deal. Like even if it goes to let's say f5, g6, it will still be first of all taking other pieces as square, and also anytime it comes to f4, just f3 still there. Regardless, yeah. So he just went back. My point was that this knight is not staying here, and after I take this and he takes this, then b3 will quite simply make it terrible. This is a bad knight. I'm not winning it because if I go on this and attack it, it always has this, and I can never try to kick it with b4 because then I'll give him a permanent outpost on c5. So, but it is still, nevertheless, it's still a very terrible match. So now I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, now he's like -4. Sorry, +4 or something. I'm +4 or something. +5 even. I'll go as far as to say. Okay, not +5, but +3. +3, +4. Could be. Well, the Indian can actually play this position, so I would say +2. But +2, yeah, I'm not going below +2. And if Indian is below +2, I don't agree. Yeah, lot of things can be thought of here. How to completely kill him, devoid him of everything. Maybe even move the bishop and go pawn to f5 and the other one to g4 and completely clamp him down. And then just to tease him, even bring my king up to like f4 or something. So to put it like that. And f4, the rooks here, maybe try even up, kill him on the king side, kill him on the queen side with b4, a4. Yeah, I like this kind of play. Okay, I guess f5 is okay. The reason I'm very not bullish always it's on these kind of plans is first of all, I'm giving him something in the long run. And in the game, we did see that he did start pressuring e3 later on. E3 did become a problem, and E3 became a problem only because of this f pawn push. So even though White can reason and argue that he has all the liberty to play moves like f3 and make these weaknesses because of the high difference in activity, piece placements, space, and on account of black's passiveness and how cramped he is, that no weakness is a real weakness, but as we saw in the game, they do have very long consequences. Structural consequences are long consequences. And now the reason I didn't want to play an f5 is maybe at some point I want to play knight f4. But then I saw that his bishop and queen are always going to be there. So I don't think that knight f5 is that much will be that much missed by me. Um okay. Yeah, after that I'm low on time, but everything is fine. I don't stop these kind of move, I invite them. Because if you come here, then okay. Then I'll move my queen and then I'll play a3 and then you will look stupid. Just like he looked stupid when he played b6 and knight b6 and I went c5 and he had to go back. So I don't stop these so-called threats. I'm mentioning these things because they come up with when I do classes with students and they make move like a3, trying to stop a threat that is not good for the opponents if they make it. Okay, knight back to c7. Yeah, so he made this whole knight b7 to b8 to a6 to c7 to go to d5 eventually to threadnet, and I stop it. But then the thing is, he still went to e8, which is fine. I take the bishop and go here. Yeah, the reason I'm taking the bishop is like I said. Some people may say it's like a really bad piece of black. I was seeing some potentials of in some future of it getting good, and I don't have a light square issue. Okay, it comes back to floor. Now I just start pushing because I'm down to 10 seconds, and he plays this, which is now trying to squeeze on my e3 point. So giving him just something, even though he's not going to be able to do anything about it, but just giving him that much play that he can at least threaten it for a move or two. Just that little hope is what I did not like about my player. Even that should not have been allowed. And here, I'm very sure I should have just taken it. Opening of this position is very much in my favor. Yeah, this very much should be in my favor. Because after that, he has this isolated f pawn, and this rook can be brought back then to f5. I'm already placed to double these. Yeah, yeah, he is setting up this because he thinks that he's playing. He's not bothering about that because he thinks that if I take the rook, then he will fork the queen and the rook, and he's winning a beautiful piece. But he missed the fact that his f pawn has been pushed from f7. Whenever that happens, there's this check there, and then this is very good for me that his pawn came to e4 because now his frontal pressure, the only thing he had going in the position, is gone. So he has not even a shred of counterplay, which is how I like it. Now this f5 pawn was not necessary to give. However, it actually worked in my favor in the end because the f file opened up and I could pressure combine my queen around from here with the rook from f1, so I can coordinate those because of the open f4. Yeah, there's no real analysis of the game because however black would have played it, he was dead lost. Yeah. After this, yeah, here he's going for a last ditch attempt to try for potential, which is first of all not there. So here I've completely tied him down. He cannot move the queen from the e file. He cannot move the queen from the defense of the knight. If he cannot unpin the knight. If he tries to unpin like this, then the knight gets pinned anyways. So he has nothing. There's no e6 square, no e5 square. So it's very hard. It's very hard for him to do anything. So he goes for a last ditch attempt then after I completely froze him. Also the knight cannot move, not just because of the queen, but also because of f6. So completely paralyzed him. So he then left everything and went for a last ditch attempt on getting something with these checks. But first I took that a4 pawn, and then I know that I can allow it, and still doesn't have anything. I can allow it and just run with my king up. It still won't have anything. But why allow that? Why allow that? So I just went rook a1 and rook f1. What this does is my rook is now defended by the king, and my rook is defending the first rank, so there is no first rank checks. The only problem with the king here is that it could have been checked from this diagonal, but as we can see, that is never going to happen because e3 is the base of the pawn, and the base of the pawn was defended by the queen, and that is just a total apparatus that cannot be touched by black. He cannot even give a single check. The only thing he can do is try to push the pawns. Because he's not going to survive very long because, like I said, the f5 pawn going from here worked in my favor because now the rook is actually serving a defensive and an offensive role and combining very well on e6. The knight from d7 cannot move. And couple checks to gain time, and then of course I'm seeing this from way before, but uh, just wanted to do something flashy. Okay, now we can look at the computer analysis of the game. I'm not sure if what happened to go. Yeah, I might not be able to actually see that fully because when you stream, what happens is the browser that you interact with isn't fully open. You cannot scroll, there's no scroll bar, nothing. Or at least as far as I know. Yeah, equal. Black can claim a little bit. Equal. I know it's not optimal, but I don't mind. I had something much better, did I? F4 immediately was better. Yeah, I don't want to commit it. I do not want to commit it. I don't care if F4. They want to go F4 because then after F4 there is no capture here. If ever there is a capture here, then F pawn will take and the F5 will open up, etc. However, if it is done right now, if a capture is done right now, my D pawn will have to take it. That's the difference between going immediate F4 and a later F4. And by the if he does take that and D does take that, then basically F4 will have to be played at some point later on to defend the pawn. So logically, that's the logic why F4 immediately. Now I'm not playing it because I don't want to commit F4 so early without seeing a direct need for it. But if you think about it logically, then logically the computer is right. That if he takes here right now, D takes, then you will be going to F4 later anyways. So why not play it now, so that at least you can then take back with the F pawn. Okay, knight e2. He did not take either. C3. All good. Yeah, this f6 c5. I did not like, and here I'm very sure that knight h4 was the only move. Is it on engine? Is it on? Are you done on the engine? No. What the hell was that on? Okay. Oh, e4 was indeed playable, but it's difficult to see. Yeah, I saw that. No. Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, I saw that also, that I can use the pin, but it didn't feel like those tactics are going to work in my favor because of, yeah, they just didn't feel like it. I saw this as a potential use that I can use that pin. Um, if that takes takes. What is it saying? Yeah. Oh, because if this takes, like I said, this was being attacked, so that's what it defended. So now this is possible. And if it takes here, then quite simply the knight will take. And now he he has time for this, but he doesn't have time for any other random move because there's also bishop check. Oh yeah, or this check. Okay, so e4 wasn't it possible? Yeah, but here there's only g6. Oh, okay, okay. Or open the bishop up to f5. Yeah, now yeah, I could tell that this is the losing blunder for me. After this, it's not a pawn. It's not that I'm just getting a pawn. The remaining the remaining position is going to be misery. Computer wants to prepare that b3. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, taking here you have to take it. Here you have to take it. Yeah, this just worsens everything. It's continuously worsening. I call it here +4. +4 is exactly what I call it. It would be here. Yeah, knight f4. I did think about knight f4. He has g4 or what did I see? Yeah, e7. These are the two squares he had. I was not saying anything concrete with it. Yeah, committal. And yes, he can go f5. That also I saw. He can go f5. The reason he can go f5 is if I just take it, then he will in the end if it have knight c5. Yeah, he also have knight c5 immediately. Actually, he has to do it immediately. Otherwise, I'll take knight takes g7. What do you call that? Desperado. When pieces take as much as they can before they die. I think it's called something with the V. Why am I forgetting these things? I teach these things. Okay. Yeah, now F5, just keep cramping him. Yeah, now E4 could have been played. I don't want to give him the defense square. But now, the reason to do it is there's that rule that anytime you have a backwards or a weak pawn potential target for the future, if you get an opportunity, get it out of the way, push it, exchange it off, and you don't have that weakness. I guess the weakness in E3 is more difficult to defend than the weakness in E4, which is weird. It's usually the more the weakness is towards your camp, easier it is to defend. But in this case, D4 I feel would be much easier to defend. Okay, well, well, good. Yeah, I'm not really losing much of my advantage anywhere because I'm not doing it in the middle tables. Hmm. Didn't bother. Yeah, here I could have taken an person, but like I said, I'm not doing anything committal because I know I have a big advantage. I don't want to change anything drastically. And I know the nature of my advantages. It's just going to be there. It's going to linger there. The second the knight moved from e8, the bishop was going to come in. It was waiting here on g3 to go. Yeah, now I saw that I can just get out. With a check, and now he also is down in exchange. So now I don't even need any great positional advantage or anything to win because I'm up in exchange, I'm up a pawn, and I have these passes. So game wins itself from here. Only thing you have to do is not allow any counterplay. Yeah, that would have actually been faster to just finish the game. I like this. Completely paralyzing move. Putting the zugzwang. Wrong. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I know the computer is saying that. Oh, first of all, the B1 square is taken. But even if it comes to B2 and all that, yeah, you won't have much to do before he throws in the towel. That's just it. Lovely game. Okay. Okay, I don't think I have any viewers, but I'll check my phone anyways to make sure that there are no questions or anything. Okay. Play one more then. Uh, giant 4 years ago, I guess we can trust that. Basics you do after. Initially, when this was not very popular opening, people used to get very quick losses when they tried to do c5 and knight c6, because after knight c6 there is no defense. Knight c7 check 4. This is not a very fun one to play Jibaba against. It would have been fun if you either let me do the F3 song, if you had gotten this out earlier. But yeah, this is no fun. I'll actually put my knight back on b1 to go c3 and then put it on d2 and reposition it to be a normal London. Okay, given is something I'm sure I can do. Right, right, right. Yeah. Then that's the gig piece. He wants to take back. Okay, we'll allow the take back. It's not a mouse flip though, you're not supposed to ask take back after oversights. Take backs are for mouse flips. So don't ask take back for something you missed that your knight is hanging there. But what if the gate's falling off? Okay. I think Leeches has banned me from chatter. So that will talk to him. By the way, this is hanging. Well, not hanging, it's potentially hanging. So I can do like knight f7. Or can I? I can certainly go with knight here, forcing pawn takes and getting the bishop for the knight, which I do like. So it's between that or knight of 7, bishop takes, knight takes. He asked for a take back, it's true, but I don't think he's well played it because he's going very much into his own plans, his own active ideas, not thinking that I also get a turn to play. Okay, I'm thinking knight c4 because I don't think my knight is getting out of h8. So in that case, I'll be losing two pieces for that rook, which I don't think is good. Obviously, it's not good. Yeah, okay. The bastards are not pushing my stream at all. Knight c4 is probably what I should be going for. Then he will take, bishop takes. Do I have any intermezzos? I don't think so. He does have an intermezzo though. Not an intermezzo exactly. He has knight takes d4. Which for which I planned to put my bishop here, but now I'm seeing that he can get the knight back here. And then I'm not sure if I want to take it. Oh, there's also this. Yeah, this is not turning out to be great for me. Alright, now I at least kind of like this because I'm now very sure that cancelling won't be easy for him at least. He's gonna take the one on A. Um, then he's going to play knight d7 to knight c5 to try to castle. I don't need to take it immediately, do I have anything? I'll have rook e5 at some point. He will have rook d8 at some point. He might be wanting to take my bishop. That's the point, that's the thing. He might be wanting to take this, which is actually, I think, a better idea for him. Because then he's just up a pawn. This way, he will be up an exchange in a pawn, but I can breathe up some troubles for him. However, if this takes, then that is just safe, boring escape. Yeah, he went for that. Now I'll simply castle. Yeah, I didn't think that very much true. That is not a real fork because queen a4 check is there, and there's no b5 because if b5 then takes, the rook is hanging. So he would most probably go here. Then I might actually go here. Yeah, I think queen a4, knight d7. We should be here. If rook d8, then I'm kind of forced to move the bishop now, which I don't want to. So, check knight d7. Check knight d7, rook d1. I can start with. Check knight d7, rook d1, rook d8. Okay, so whenever check knight d7, rook d1, rook d8. And then I don't have this d5 square axis anymore. And I might be thinking about this kind of stuff, but I think that's too much. It's not very. I do have the d5 square then, so I can actually go rook to d5 and take this one off. Huh. The activity paid off, I think. Of course, he can also move the king, after which I'll have to readjust and trying to create initiative. Also, of course, by the way, no, he doesn't have queen c6. Queen c6, then this should be fine. So he has to move the king. I think objectively moving the king is the best for him. Because otherwise I keep piling up the pressure. One move, just one move. Instead of queen here, he should have castled. And if he had he castled, then it's much more tougher for me to show any compensation for this horrid structure. Which is, by the way, technically lost if it went to the endgame straight away. This is the only compensation I could have gone for and be able to make a claim that I have something. Yeah, 97. The point of 97 is 97 rook d1, and yeah, there will be this e5 kind of moves, but I think they will be hard to achieve. After the rook comes to d1, there's also rook d5, another tempo move. So that is the kind of the big problem for him. However, after 97 rook d1, rook d8, rook d5, there will be b5. Take, take, take. Might. Yeah. So yeah, on b5, maybe I'm getting a piece. So actually, after rook d1, rook d8 does not work. And if rook d8 does not work, then nothing does. Maybe an immediate e5. But that's, yeah, immediate e5 defenses. Hmm. Still rook d1. Yeah, did I think on rook d1? What did I decide here? Yeah, I think I decided rook d1. Oh, I'm too tired to calculate. Okay, yeah. So now rook d5 is the move, I think. And on rook d5, what does he have? b5 is does not work because we take the bishop. Cannot really save the bishop. Oh, there is an intermezzo with bishop c2. Rook d5, bishop c2. Rook takes, bishop takes. Knight takes, knight takes, knight takes. Rook c. Rook c8, knight takes b7. He cannot take this because of the fork, but don't like that. Okay, so rook d5, bishop here. What am I doing? If I cannot really move my queen anyway. Maybe then I just take queen takes knight, rook takes, and rook takes this. It looks very shaky, but I guess that's fine. There will be b6. I'll have to watch out of it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure rook d5 still is the way to go. Knight, yeah. So if bishop c2, then queen takes, rook takes. Now, I'm not very sure because I'm not very alert right now. So that does give me a little bit uneasy feeling the way the pieces are going to be standing at the end of it. I did not see any tactic for him. He doesn't have a lot of other moves. He can save the queen with queen c7 or queen c7. Oh, actually, yeah. He can save the queen with queen c7, and then I take, then he castles. Then he castles actually. Then if I move the rook, there's d5. I should still be doing fine. I will maybe, yeah, I will most probably have to, yeah, I will have to give my piece back after b5. Do I actually have the bishop b5 now? Okay. Bishop b5 takes knight d5, knight d6, queen takes. If bishop b5 and queen takes e3, it hits my it hits my rook. And even also, and if I take, well, I'll just move king. That doesn't seem to work out too well. So I guess I'll have to take, and after castles, what do I have? I guess one of the ways I can make it work is rook takes h7, rook takes h7, bishop takes, queen takes. That keeps my rook on even again. That's the problem, otherwise I would have had something with the queen. Yeah, so I guess just I'll take and if you cancel, so go back to F3 maybe. Yeah. If immediate B5, then I'll take the knight. Or do I take with the rook actually? So rook takes, one takes, knight take hits the green, which might keep him his problems alive. Bishop takes, pawn takes. No, rook takes F7. Okay. Rook takes checkmate. F7. Rook F7, King F7, Bishop. Rook F7, and if he takes my queen, then this is mate. So rook F7, King F7. The problem with rook F7, and also have to calculate this. Takes, takes with G7. Go for it. I think the refutation is just taking here. No, I don't have enough. If king takes, then he should be in trouble because he has to go to the F file. If he goes to the E file, there will be discovery with the bishop. So, and if he stays on the F file, I should be able to do some checks. Like on here, I should be able to deliver some checks. Like if he goes to F8, I guess this is not a check because he blocks. This is not a check. I'll not go to F6 later on. Once freed. Yeah, that might have been the refutation. Alright, I don't think I played it to perfection because of time, but I do have better position, I would say. I would like to think so. It doesn't have 95 because the back rank is covered. Yeah, that it does have. And I've been. And I take this. Huh, I cannot. I should have gone rook c1. I need to play faster. No, back rank is still there. Stupid. That was stupid. No time. And I'm not used to playing with the mouse at all. I play on phone. But you can stream on phone. When Manar is on c4 on c3, I should have gone here, rook c1, because there's no never a pin there. I can always unpin with knight e2. And there was also the tricks of knight check, pinning his rook. He can go to c5, and I'm threatening a check. Yeah. Okay, that was not a good check, maybe. Hmm. Yeah, maybe. Mhm. Not very ideal. Not ideal. Yeah, he was lost way before. I would say he was lost. Yeah, he was lost in the complications. Yeah, this is the blunder. So he first played. Yeah, he played knight h5 here, which simply hangs the knight, then asks for a take back. So firstly, in my belief, takebacks are only for like mouse slips, and that is it. If you miss something, it doesn't matter if you see it right after you play it, that oh shit, that piece is hanging. That is still a blunder. That is a genuine blunder. That's not a mouse slip. So you should not ask takebacks for that. I allowed him to take back anyways, but the move he played out to the take back was not too great either. Because the queen on d8 is defending the bishop, and this gives me a variety of options to jump to the knight. Well, not a variety of options. I basically only have three or four, but most of these were simply out, like knight f7. I lose this bishop, and then this knight is not coming out ever. Yes, there's e6 pawn weakened, and the rook is like that and all that, but I do not like being down these many minor pieces, and I don't believe my attack coming anytime soon. Yes, I do have moves like knight d5 maybe even, uh, but it's his move, so he can also, by the way, just okay. He cannot castle because then he gives away the f7 square. So maybe this was kind of playable. He has to go to f8, but again after f8, if by chance I run out of juice in the initiative department, then I don't like the pieces left on the board for both sides. So that's why this was, in my opinion, a cleaner way to advantage. He has to take it. But yeah, of course, these things require deeper calculations, not just on the surface. Like I saw here that, okay, I'll just put it back. But I have to also see that there is a fall, and my evaluation is now that I think the engine will might say that take the row, and most probably it will say that take the material, and you can defend. But from human perspective, from practical perspective, that's not an easy job. So I understood that he actually went for the easier route, and this is easier route for him actually because he's at the pawn, and this is the two pawns white is on the queen side versus these. Plus he has a majority on the queen side. So technically speaking, the endgame is basically winning itself for him. And any claims of lead in development or activity as compensation, I think they're all out after he simply castles. That's it. This is the move he needed to do at all cost. Because the only hope of white is to do something against this guy. And after this, black just gave white that. So this is the losing move of the game. This is the losing move. After this check, there's a lot of problems that can be created. I guess actually he can still go king f8, and he's not going to have that much problems in connecting the rooks, manually casting. There's not that much that white can create. However, in the meantime, white will try to create some initiative on the files with the rooks by the time he connects his. So yeah, he is in trouble now. And here a lot of things are there. So one of the things is that first thing is that he doesn't have b5 because the a pawn is pinned to the rook. Second thing is I have options. So bishop b5 I could have gone, and if they, in which I had to see that this is an option for him, this is an option for him, and moves like bishop b5 that are only there, that are only allowed there because of a pin or some tap there. They're always not, they're not going to stand on those places very long. So the problem is he moves the rook defending his knight, and now what I have to do is move my bishop somewhere or exchange the knight, both of which are terrible and end on of my initiative. So I need to be careful of those moves. That's why rook d1 first instead. It has been, and now all of my pieces are in the action, and the bishop and the queen, all the pieces are in the action, and that's the maximum I can do before I start sacking pieces then. So rook d5 is a nice move. It's a fork of the bishop and the queen. And unpinning with the queen does not work because it does unpin the e-pawn from the king, but it is still a pin. He went queen c7, which I believe was the move. Another move I actually thought he could do is bishop c2, which is very nice, but he still loses a piece. The thing is, I have nowhere to move my queen. If I move my queen before, he will of course mistake it. That's not a problem. After that, he can castle. And if I take his bishop, then he takes my bishop because my queen is the one defending that bishop. Uh, so what I have to do here is take his queen. He will take mine, and then I'll take this. And this is the kind of thing I was saying that if he goes 10 rook c8, then I'll just take here, and he cannot take this because of the fork. So I was not afraid of this pin or this skewer or whatever. So but he will castle, and then I'm playing two pieces for a rook in the endgame, which is not ideal. Endgame is not the place where you want the two pieces for the rooks. Uh, yeah, so bishop c2 was indeed one of the tries, but there was something I saw in which case he's losing a full piece. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Uh, I saw what I saw is on bishop c2 there is queen takes d7, and then I take the full. So I took the full knight from my queen, and he lost his queen for nothing. So that is the these bloody blots keep ruining the chat. Okay, so they go bishop. If they go bishop c2, they lose a full piece due to queen takes d7 knight check. That's why queen c2 was not available. Queen c7, I believe, was the best try because actually now I can castle, and the problem is my rook now is hanging indeed because the e-pawn is now not pinned anymore, and once I move my rook, then he will have b5. He is not one of the people who like to have a safe thing. He's still yet to have those foundations. So he goes for b5 immediately, and here I can simply give back material, but actually taking with a piece might not be. Now I have to take with the rook. And okay, now I have an extra pawn here. This is my extra pawn, so that's not really an extra pawn, but it is an outsider pawn. While he has a majority here, on the other hand, he will be able to castle next move now, and now I still may claim little activity, but you know, difficult to call it that big of an advantage. So I saw all of that, and I decided, okay, I have what 30 seconds left, and then this complicated. The way this works is the reason why I'm able to play this is because I'm not afraid of losing on the spot by losing my queen or something, because that's actually not possible. Which actually is possible because I thought that this is mate, but it is not because that rook is hanged. So what I saw was I think actually that this takes check, and then I will take the queen. So I'm going to be down in exchange here, but I got these two. Might also get other ones, but I don't think again that this is justified. So he did that. So actually he should have taken my queen in that case. Because yeah, that is not a good endgame that I just had down an exchange. Queen c4. Yeah, now the pieces are even. And he still has problems. So this is good for white, without a doubt this is winning for white. This is outright winning. I just don't have the time. And here I should have gone here. And I don't need to worry about any pins here. There's no pin. There's never a pin. Because first of all, there's a check. So if he ever tries to win it, he's never going to win it because there's simply a check, first of all. But he's not going to win it right now because, first of all, there is a check. And he's actually never gonna win it because even if he gets rid of the check, let's say, let's make a random move. If he ever gets rid of the check, then what happens is I am still always able to move my knight defending the rook. That was not a real pin, so I should have played rook c1 there. And that of course comes with the additional threat that if he misses it, then this just wins the exchange. Yeah, this alliance is that. Of course, white should still be doing fine, and also this is also bad. King f1 isn't really taking care of back rank. I have to make another move now to get rid of the back rank because if I start taking his pawns, thinking that okay, I moved my king, that doesn't work because I'll have to give up the knight now. Back rank is still an issue, so I'll have to give up knight. So that was a bit not the best moment. But yeah, after g3, the three pawn islands of black, and there's just a single one of white. Much more um, solid, and the black pawns can quite easily be picked up. Um, he lost the h1, now he loses the a1, and something I always repeat is the knight's best place in matters of in from a tactical point of view. Like there is positional, there is strategic, but from a purely tactical point of view, the knight's best placement is always one square away from the check to the king. Like from where it can deliver a check right on the next move. So like here, the knight is sitting here, from where it can deliver a check to the king on the next move. So if you keep your knight and in those placements with the king where they can always deliver a check. Don't give the check, but you just place them there where they can. Then you can often manufacture a lot of tactical themes. So here, for example, my next threat is this rook check, and he will have trouble because if he tries to come in to focus on this one, then this would have taken my rook. However, he has the defense by counter hitting my rook, but yeah, it does create ideas. Now I can take this with a check, but I don't need to because that is much closer. It's not even a pass pawn. He needs to make it a pass pawn, which is not going to happen. And now we see why the concept of pawn islands is taught to people, to new chess players, is because it's harder to defend those for him. As you saw, I picked both of them up. Now even this is a weak. And if you compare mine, he cannot really attack my h, he cannot really attack my g. The only one he can attack is f2, and that is sufficiently defended. And he hasn't been given access to it yet. Not that he played a great game, anyways. Yeah, of course, white is winning. So yeah, queen c5, queen c5, the losing move. Always get your king to safety first before starting your ambitious ideas. Why do you even? Hmm. There's a tactic here, apparently. Yeah, I guess it has to do with that. In the end, when I take it, he has a discovery on this. But does he have a good enough discovery to have a -3 position? No, correct, 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 correct. Oh, so this is what they're calling. Yeah, he played it accordingly. So then I don't agree. No, I agree if he simply goes and castles here. Then I will agree this much that obviously, technically speaking, structurally speaking, white is lost. Definitely. Black has a 4 versus 3 majority on the king side, and this is what white has on the queen side. And once he castles, there's not even a slither. There's not an ounce of any counterplay, any argument for any counterplay, or um, initiative for the white side. So that I agree. That I yes do agree. But practically speaking, it's yeah. If it took the and his engine is giving this as an accuracy, but that is the actually, in my opinion, the better move because if it takes yeah, if he actually took the rook, then he's not canceling there yet. Knight d5 is not available. The rook is spinning the king. There's no dark square bishop to put anything on e7. So that did look like a very very promising position to me for from tricks point of view. I always keep repeating I'm playing more tricky than objective. I'm playing to these people's rating rather than trying to play the best moves. All right, and this I find very clever actually. The better, practically better thing to do. But then you have to follow it up with castles and say that I did that instead of taking the rook because I have now a very safe advantage and that is going to last forever. This ends the game. And yeah, this engine is giving just an accuracy, but this is what lost him the game, the entire game. Because now this stuff starts. Yeah. Another thing is he has to be okay with now king e7. Putting the knight in pin, allowing the king to come in the center is not probably that good. Yes, he had to castle. The reason he can afford to castle losing this knight is because he always has this b5 idea. The only reason he doesn't have it right now is due to the tactic that the a pawn is pinned because the rook is hanging. But the second the rook stops hanging, for example, if he castles, the rook is not hanging anymore. The rook is not defended. Now there's immediate b5. So he will not lose a full piece or anything. So castling is something he did not understand the importance of. So he kept defending, but now rook d5 hits it. And yeah, bishop c2, as I showed, is not working here because just I win a full piece like this. Otherwise, bishop c2 was quite a nice find. And queen e7 doesn't work here because that actually makes a new pin. He removes the pin of the king, but now it's a pin to the queen, so it still loses the bishop. But yeah, queen c2, c7, and now the problem is if I if he castles or if he does anything, he always has b5. If I even win a piece, as happened in the game, I won his bishop, but now he can castle. And after that, when I play move my rook, because my rook then would be hanging, because he will unpin as he castles, then he can go b5 and still get the piece back. So he's not going to be down a piece. But again, he's not understanding the importance of castling. And then I do this blunder based upon the fact that I thought that if he takes my queen, then I am taking this and that's enough, but that's not enough because I'm going to be down in exchange after all is said and done. And the worst part of it is it's over. The initiative is over and cannot be created anymore. The attack is over, the initiative is over. It's about time to play the end game, and in the end game, I'm just down in exchange for no real compensation. So it's going to be very difficult to defend this. I can still continue. I can put pressure against his rating. I would have won, but I would not be happy to play this over the board at all. Okay, yeah. So that was based on that fact, and he should have taken the queen, but he got afraid. He took the queen instead, and after that, it's just a worse endgame for him because now the pieces are even. Now we all have an even number of pieces, two rooks and a knight, and yeah, then it's just simply a matter of playing normal moves. This position wins itself, and yeah, that's all. All right, I'm way too sleepy to continue. I think I should sleep. Few problems before signing off. So queen g7, king e8. Hmm. No, it is actually queen d8 check, queen e8, queen d8 check, queen e8, queen d6 check, knight d7, and queen h6. King g8, queen g7 checkmate. So queen d8, queen e8, queen d6. He doesn't have queen here. I mean, it does have that. What do I have? I am down a full row. So I will be able to get this, check, and then I'll also get the knight in the end with a check. So yeah, that's easy to see. Check, check. Okay, yeah. You should have gone for knight, that's more instructive. Okay. So d5, a3 goes back, there's no b4 to kick it. So how is that not working? Shouldn't be this easy. It should not be this easy. Apparently it is. So now the point is I cannot take with the knight or the bishop. I have to take with the king. And then I can go back and the point is usually they can unpin with a3 b4 and then you take them, they take you, but they're at least not losing a full piece. But in this case, b4 is not available, so which is why he's actually forcefully losing a full piece. So there's this four, but the bishop is defending it. So can we do something about the bishop? We cannot really pin it. There's also, by the way, this pawn push which threatens mate. There's this, then there will be a check, and take, and take. First of all, materially speaking, I'm about even. Yes, materially, both sides are even. So two ideas I see so far, that is first to push the pawn comes with a mate threat. Second potential idea is a 4. If this, there is e5, got an e5, I win a piece. Bishop e5, I win a piece. There's also a hybrid mistake in the knight, in which case I take with a check. King g8, check king, I have a pawn here and here, so this check will force him here. So that's a bit tougher. I think the knight is too work. Those saves. If I go here and it take check, he goes here, check, he goes here, check, he goes here. But instead of checking him with the queen on after, I might check with the rook, so that if his queen takes, then I skewer him with this check. So if rook takes check, then the king goes from f2 to e3. Then this is mate. The queen, so queen will have to take, and then I check and take this. So on f3 push, taking the knight does not work because check. Only move is king here. Check. Only move is king here. And with check. Anything else he has? Bishop e5. Check. I check and take at least a piece. The bishop e5 might be the way for him to go after this. Some g3 business. Takes check, then check, there's this check, that is not great. There's this check, that is not great. This pawn is nicely covering everything else. So yeah, don't see anything really forced. Yeah, mistake the bishop is the best. That's the best option. That's where he's losing the least. Otherwise, after rook takes, he would have to lose a full queen. That was actually quite nicely worked by me. Because the puzzle is not asking a lot. The line in the puzzle is not asking to be seen a lot. What you have to actually see is what happens if they just take the knight. Then this comes to the check, and this is the only move. And this is the check, and now here, if you just simply take it, then there's nothing. He escapes. There's no more. There's no more checks that work. So what you have to do is here the important move is rook takes check, and I guess you can still go here. But yeah, but now it is much better. And there should be a blow somewhere. There will be a blow somewhere. After this, now this mate is being threatened. And the point is that if they take it with the queen, then they lose a queen for a rook. So that was the puzzle. That is what the puzzle was about. So if I take, he checks, I block, how on earth does he have anything for the sacrificed? Yeah, I think this is just, yeah, well, it doesn't make a lot of sense. So we can hit a screen with a tempo, a discover attack from the knight. But if our knight moves, then there will be potential queen h7 mate if our knight ever moves to give a discovery. Then bishop moves, and this is the problem. The material is even, so if you don't win a piece, it's not worth it. He just took our h pawn, so we have to win a piece here, at least. So the only knight jumps are d5, d7, and e4. Well, these are also there, but not really. Or maybe just take it. Take, queen takes, bishop f8, bishop g7. That's it. Yeah, I think the knight jumps don't work. Because if the knight jumps, then the bishop blocks, and I have to play like g6 or something. So I think it's just I have to bite it, take it, and then bishop f8, and there's no check, and then I'll block. Yeah, that's the point. That's the only way, actually, the actual only way to win the piece is to actually accept the sacrifice. That was nice. So now I'll just keep trading. Check, yeah, check, 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 no checks. Check, 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 check. Yeah, so the point is that after pawn takes on g7, pawn takes on g7 comes with a check, and that's the point. So it's all coming with a check, and then this will come with a check, and then the king will go here. Rook takes will come with a check, so it's all coming with a check. It's not too hard to calculate. This is fairly easy then. The opponent games are slightly difficult. So I should probably freeze it first. That was it. There was no calculation involved there. Thanks. Thanks. Takes, takes, takes. So if I take on a 7, if rook takes into master, then I take this. So he has to take with like something. Oh, but the queen will also hang. If I take on f7, queen takes on e5, I take into master with a check, he goes up, then I can take, yeah. But they will end the game there because I can also take immediately, or I can choose to give a check and then take, which actually might be better. No, actually no, because then this is, yeah. So I have to take it immediately. Yeah, well, calculating it further. Oh, yeah, so that's I have first to this. Takes. Then I just three, takes, will check, king comes up. Yeah, I just did. The point was, if you took my queen, the pawn intermess with a check, and then it's going here. Then I can even do this, further simplify it. So what I'll do in the game. Okay, another end game. If I take, he starts running. But what I can do is takes, goes here, queen, king takes, king up, goes here, goes here, goes here. Check, queen, mate on g3. Yeah, on b. White, so b6, mate on b6. Oh, you can do that. Oh, son of a bitch, yes, do it, of course. Of course. Stream for point left, won't I? Yeah. That's, I should take this. Because I'm going to solve these in a move. I'm down a minor piece. Black is down a minor piece. So Yeah. So bishop takes. So black is down a minor piece. Bishop takes. Knight takes. Queen d5. Queen b4. Uh, King a2. Rook c1. What is my actual threat? There is no actual mate threat right now because the b1 is covered quite well with two pieces. So that doesn't look like it. There's no other piece that can really come in. E7 square is covered. S6 square is quite covered. This is all covered. My bishop also cannot really come in. This is a bit tougher comparatively. So takes, knight takes, queen takes. King h7 is the sorry, king a2 is the only move. Because otherwise, if this comes in, it'll come in with a check. Only with yeah, king a2 is only move. Um, we don't have a check after that. I do get this, but I don't have an immediate threat. He, on the other hand, can take this. What did I take on f8 first? I guess it doesn't really matter. I'm very tired to calculate, so I'll just go for it. Next move has to be this. Now I don't see promising continuation. I guess it is just rook takes. But I don't see what threat I'm making. I guess the threat I'm making is rook f6. Sorry, rook c3. I'm not used to seeing the notation upside down. Rook c3 and then he doesn't have time. But it will be his move after I take the rook. So I guess takes and rook back to c3. The knight can still move. Not like it's been or anything. So I don't see a concrete threat I make. But the problem is I also don't see any alternate move. So this one I'll need a little bit insight into. So if takes, then rook c3, rook c3, knight goes, check, goes here, and I prepare this. It was a quite a slow moves. Some of the slow moves have to be synced for it to fully make sense. Alright, so there's this check, which will also align with the queen, so this discovered attack over there. It'll also align with the rook, so the rook will be able to move. Oh, so it'll be this check. King goes here, and rook takes. He cannot play this because there's back rank issues. And if he takes with the pawn, then bishop takes just wins. So he has to do something. He cannot save this rook either because rook will take here. This is actually a very nice puzzle. I'll save this for training students. This is a very nice puzzle. Use of lines in tactical motifs. Let's remember this. If I go here, this, I'll take queen f8 takes. I guess I am down a couple pawns. White is down a couple pawns. White is down a couple pawns. Uh, this that doesn't really do much though. Knight, yeah, knight d6 is the move. Ten's mate, and if you take it, then I take it and I am threatening to win it. Also, by the way, rook e6 might be the move. Yeah, I saw that. The point is, if you take, I'm not even talking about taking the rook immediately. There might be actually knight e6 first, which actually doesn't make a difference. Maybe it does. Yeah, no, it does not. Yeah, rook e6 or knight e6. I don't see nothing else. Yeah, it's one of the rook e6 or knight e6. So which one loses? Knight e6, rook e6, rook e6, pawn e6, takes, yeah. So knight e6, rook e6, rook e6, pawn e6. Yeah, after knight e6, pawn e6 is not possible because of queen b7 mate. So after knight e6, he has to play rook e6. And after rook e6, he lost to rook for a knight. Pawn e6, bishop with queen takes check. Yeah, I guess rook e6 fails because he's not forced to take. You can go back c8, or you can go here, or you can go here, whatever. It's 96 that has to be done. Because in 96 he was forced to take. That was the difference. Okay. Looks like a mating net. This taken, this taken. And these two are available, which will be taken by this at any point. This knight is defended so far. G4 check is available because when it's not is pinned, you'll be forced to go here or here. On d5, there will be this check, and he'll be forced to go here or here. My life bishop can move back, and then an f4 mate can be delivered, is what I'm saying. Okay, so if this check, and he's forced to take here, and then f4 is mate. Yeah, this doesn't quite fit in the category of mating net, I would say this is more into the category of king hunt. But I guess both interlap, interpolate a bit. Okay, so g4 is definitely the first move. Now I know that if he ever steps on f4, he gets mated with bishop f4. Sorry, bishop e3 and f4 mate. So can he make it outside of f4 on g5 and this on this square? If he reaches it, h6. Actually, if he reaches g5, that's it. Because I can, yeah. If he goes g5, then so for example, this check, and then he has to go back, and then this check, and he'll have g5, and bishop takes checkmate. That was very nice. Nothing idiots missing everything. Um, I have to take. Yeah. Now the difference is the box, the rule of the box. I can come in this box. He cannot come in this one. So I can enter the green one, he cannot enter the red one. So that's why I can go here. What I think I need to do is try to get his king into a checkable square. Or I don't think he is I'll get his king into a checkable square. What I can do is get mine out of his checkable square because he's queening on a square where I get checked. But if this you're going to do, then you of course lost easily. So if this check is given, there is only this square available for the king, or this is not possible. So there's only eight. But I want a good check after that. Check, check, check. Uh, then got it. Queen there. Queen b2 kind of needs to be there for this check in this mate. I don't think I have a move to set it up because if I do here, he just takes here. And then this rook cannot even move even if it wants to. The problem is after this check, king e8, I cannot just allow this rook to come down here because this is mate. This one is a bit tougher comparatively. There's still, yeah, some kind of queen move has to be found. Oh, check, and then the problem is that I am not able to do anything with the queen because of this relation between the two books that they're standing against each other. And even if I exchange them, the problem is that I cannot just allow a rook to come to the first rank, the last rank, the eighth rank, because it's made. So what I can do, however, is after e8, change the file to come from here, and he cannot. He does not have that. So that is very, very nice actually. Yeah, that was very nice. Yeah, this pretty much only moves. Oh, yeah. I think instead of shaking, I would rather get my king up. Oh, I can go here. Yeah, I think that's it. How to go there. So what we have is, should I? Yeah, I should not take the queen. That much is clear. The reason I should not take the queen is because then I get easier access. Yeah, to go to get his pawn while he comes to get my pawn, then he has to go make way to my pawns. I will make way to this pawn, and then I only have two squares to queen. And once he gets this, then he will have to get this, and only then he can push this to queen. So I think I should not be wanting to have this pawn on this file because then I cannot force this king to move away to grab this one. From that logic, I think this is the only move. Yeah, yeah. Now the problem is rook takes didn't work, but of course I would just take the king. Rook take also didn't work because takes and he comes and grabs the pawn. But that is crazy tough because I will actually retain a full rook instead. The shit. Just simple. This does not work because he takes. Takes. No, yeah, simple this doesn't work because go here, and if I take, then it doubles. Um, if I try to run, then there is also this. It kind of gets me in the notch. So I should first take here, and then forward. This was very important. Now I don't have problem because I will escape. But if I take here, the point is what do I reply to this, which then indeed is a mating net. The thing is I have this check, which is kind of, and I don't know if it's showing correctly whatever the fuck is going on in my stream. Because it is just mate. The dovetail pattern. This is the swallowtail pattern. Dovetail pattern. I don't know what it's called, but it's called one of those two. The point is whenever a queen is giving a coup de grace check to the king. Coup de grace check means any square right next to the king. When the queen is giving that check, that's a coup de grace check. Uh, if it is horizontal, then these squares need to be blocked based on from which side it is being given. And if it is diagonal, then these two needs to be blocked for it to be checkmate. That is like the easiest, quickest rule to see it soon. Okay. Another pawn endgame, of course. First move is a no-brainer. Now if I take here, he gets in the wall. I push, he come here. So I cannot take, I have to push. Now I should take this one, of course. And that's it. I will eventually get this one. And that's it. It's not hard. Yeah, so this is easy. Queen f7, bishop b5, rook d1. Everything comes with a check, so not very difficult. There's no blocking, not effective blocking, anyways. Jacks, 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 j6. Okay, so check, takes, check, check. I can give a rook e5 first to force his queen away from there. Take, check, check. So I think if I just remove his queen away from there, this, then you take, you check, king here, I take, rook takes, and I win this one. And if I give a check, queen takes, rook takes, rook takes, then I kind of don't harvest. This one I'm going to check. So we keep going, queen takes. I don't have any good discoveries. That queen takes. Now get into massive. Takes, both the rooks will be lost. He will have two rooks and a bishop, and I don't have anything more to do. There is h4, I guess, in some lines, but h4 hits the bishop, and he already has an extra bishop, so that doesn't seem like he's going to lose the game because of it. So check, rook takes, uh, check, rook takes, check, rook takes, and then check first. If queen takes, then intermezzo. That's the thing. Hard to do something with the queen plus diagonal. Good one. Didn't quite break my record, but